Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mishel. Today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on The Great Gatsby, and it is by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Before we get into this video, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, and that like button. And before we start talking about the book or the author, I would like to say that I am in no way qualified to be reviewing these books. These are obviously classical literature books for a reason. And now I would like to talk a little bit about the author. One of the interesting things about this book is that actually when Fitzgerald first finished writing this book and he tried to get it published, he couldn't get it published, which is kind of ironic because now it is one of the most classical books in America, and yeah, it's a really great book overall. And another interesting thing about this book is that it was actually kind of based off of Fitzgerald's life, because he was always making rash decisions based off of a woman that he loved, and she was making bad decisions, so in the end she was really dragging them both down. And the book is called The Great Gatsby because of one of the main characters in this book, who is a part of all of the mysteries that unfold in this book, and his name is Jay Gatsby, and so that is why it's called The Great Gatsby. So this book is about Jay Gatsby, and also it is told from the point of view of Nick Carraway. And Nick Carraway is a veteran, and so is Jay Gatsby. They both fought in World War I, and they're both veterans. And Nick is renting out a house right next to Jay Gatsby. And at first, in the first part of this book, you don't really know who Jay Gatsby is. And Nick is fascinated by him because he's a really interesting and mysterious man. He kind of keeps to himself, doesn't really talk to Nick, and he's throwing parties every weekend, these huge parties, and Nick hears that they are really great parties, and every weekend all he sees are packages and shipments being delivered to his house, all for this party, and it seems like people are having a great time, and it is a while before Nick actually gets an invite to one of these great parties. And once he goes to this party, he realizes that these parties are great and all, but the host himself, Jay, seems to be very disconnected from the party, and he seems to be very closed off, kind of somebody who keeps to himself. And he looks like he's always zoning out, and he's not really a part of the party. He doesn't really look like he's enjoying it. And so, and it is a while before Nick actually gets a chance to talk to Jay, and he's kind of just observing everyone. It's kind of interesting because there are always something interesting happening at these parties, and then when he finally gets a chance to meet Jay, he finds out that Jay is a very nice man, and he might actually not have any bad intentions, and that he's just kind of, doing his thing and throwing these parties just for the sake of it. And one thing that Jay always does that is really noted throughout this book is that he always calls people old sport, especially Nick, and it's a really annoying habit of his, and it makes him seem like 20 years older than he actually is. And some other main characters in this book are Tom and Daisy. And Nick is actually cousins with Daisy, and Tom is Daisy's husband, and Tom is extremely rich, and he's known for it, and he's well known, and Daisy actually married Tom for the wealth and the status that came with marrying Tom, and they have a really bad relationship. They don't really get along too much, and it seems like Tom is actually cheating on Daisy, and Daisy might actually know of this. It's not really clear throughout the book whether she knows about him cheating on her or not, but whether she does or whether she doesn't, it doesn't really seem like she would care, because she really married Tom just for the money and the status that came with it. But anyways, so Nick is invited to their house one day. It's been a while since they've seen him. It's been a while since he's seen them, and so he's visiting them, and again, they seem very closed off. They're kind of zoning out, not really talking to each other, Daisy and Tom. And one of the famous lines that happens when he gets invited to their house, one of the famous lines that Daisy says is, Daisy and Tom have a daughter, and so Daisy says, "I hope she turns out to be a fool, a beautiful fool, because that is that's kind of all that a girl can be in this world." And I thought this line was really interesting. You could think of this, you could perceive this line in many different ways. There are many ways to interpret this line and what it means, but I thought that was quite an interesting line that Daisy said throughout this book. And one of the things about Daisy is that she can be a really annoying character, but it doesn't really take away from the book. It actually makes it even more interesting. It's kind of frustrating to see how all Daisy wants is money and, you know, to be well known, and that's all she wants in life. That's her only focus. And so Nick, actually later on in this book, he finds out that Daisy happens to be Jay's ex-lover, and he finds out that Jay throws all of these parties. He bought this huge house just for Daisy, even though Daisy doesn't really care for him, even if Daisy had loved him at one point in her life, she doesn't really care for him anymore, because now she is Tom, who is giving her this status and this money and wealth. And one of the things that Fitzgerald actually tried to do throughout this book, which he was successful in, was try and show how the truth or the dark side of, you know, being wealthy and society, and what people are actually looking for when they're marrying people, and, you know, how people can be so cruel. And so he was really successful in this, and Daisy is one of the people who really show what Fitzgerald was trying to point out, that, you know, she doesn't really care for anything other than wealth. And there's Jay over here who's kind of completely ruining his life and, you know, making himself feel so depressed that he doesn't get to have Daisy, and he's kind of chasing after her and doing anything he can to get her back. When to Daisy, he's just another person in her life who she doesn't really care for. And there's a lot that Jay does to try and get Daisy back, and it's really entertaining to see how Tom and Jay fight over Daisy, and how it leads to the death of people, how it leads to many accidents, and it's just entertaining overall. The ending of this book is quite ironic. It's pretty sad to actually, but I won't spoil it for you. But it's really sad to just see how Jay is ruining his life chasing after somebody who doesn't care for him. And that is what this book is about. It includes many mysteries about how you know, how Jay is trying to, the backstory of Jay and Daisy, and, you know, the dark side of Tom, and how Tom is actually a really bad person, and though he might be wealthy and well known, he's not really a great person at all. And so that is why I really enjoyed this book, because it really does show the truth of society, and how you know, how bad it can be. And so that is why I really enjoyed this book. Another one of the iconic lines from this book is that it takes two to make an accident happen. And so I thought that was really true, especially throughout this book. And so that is all I have to say about The Great Gatsby. If you haven't already, then make sure you check out this book. Make sure you check out my description box below, where I will leave the links for Google Books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. If you click on the link for Google Books on the bottom right corner of your screen, it should show the nearest libraries this book is available at. And make sure you check out my description box below. Make sure you check out this book. And as you guys know, in every single one of my book reviews, I have a sneak peek where I show you guys what the next book I'm going to be reviewing looks like. And here's what it looks like. And it is called Robinson Crusoe, and it is by Daniel Defoe. If you guys want to check out this book review, then make sure you check out my page. I hope you guys are enjoying watching the series as I'm enjoying making this series. And I will see you guys next Sunday with a new video. Bye, guys!